Yes, you can say what you want, but Man City were awful this season, especially compared to the standards they set in the last decade. In fact, this is their worst performance, not just in the Pep Guardiola era, but in the 6 years prior to that too. Realistically, the last season that was just as bad as this one was 2009-10, when they also finished trophyless. So, technically, we can say that 24-25 has also been an absolute disaster for City, unless they win the Club World Cup, of course. And they actually have every reason to hope for a victorious campaign in the USA. City are dominating the transfer market once again. 4 new players have already joined, and it doesn't look like the citizens have any plans to stop. The funniest thing is that just 2 weeks ago, Pep Guardiola said at a press conference that he'd quit the club unless they guarantee him a smaller squad. Well, good luck, Pep. The journalists are going to eat you alive when the new season starts, and you have a squad of 25 players when only 18 are allowed for a match day. So, all this raises a very important question. What exactly makes Man City so dangerous, not only ahead of the Club World Cup, but in the new season as a whole? Let's find out. First things first, take a look at the transfer deals that Man City are making right now. The market's been open for less than 2 weeks, but City are already making big moves. So far, only 1 player has been confirmed as joining the team ahead of the upcoming Club World Cup. This is Cherki Aït-Nouri, who has already said goodbye to Wolverhampton and been welcomed by the Man City board as their first summer signing. Now, the situation with him is a little tricky. As you know, Man City haven't used a traditional left-back for the last 2 or even 3 seasons since the departure of Alexander Zinchenko and Joao Cancelo. They've mostly played Nathan Ake and Josko Vardiol there, and only this season has Pep started giving Nico O'Reilly a chance. So, on paper, Aït-Nouri looks like a very practical transfer. However, I am afraid he'll have to go down as another Calvin Phillips or Matheus Nunes kind of transfer. And before you head to the comments section to ask, what's your problem with Matheus Nunes? Let me remind you that he only had a starting role this season because there wasn't anyone else on the right back. Kyle Walker left, and Rico Lewis, he's just not good enough to play there. So, let's assess the key things Aït-Nouri brings to the Etihad. First, at around 1.78 meters, he's not the tallest, but he does bring explosiveness and agility to the left flank. You might not have noticed him during his time at Wolves, but his performances didn't go unnoticed. He had his best season in 2024-25, scoring 5 goals and providing 7 assists in all competitions. Moreover, he was the league's most successful dribbler for a defender, alongside West Ham's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Both players finished the season with an impressive 1.8 successive dribbles per 90. What's more, Aït-Nouri's playing style fits perfectly with Guardiola's tactical plan, which requires fullbacks to be able to invert, drive into midfield, and keep hold of the ball. At Wolverhampton, he stood out thanks to his precise passing in tight spaces and his link-up play, exactly the qualities Pep is looking for in a player who can keep possession. Realistically, Cancelo is probably the Man City left-back who best fits the profile. They are both fast and agile, and they can invert into internal positions. But Aït-Nouri's big advantage is that he's left-footed. This means that when he wants to cross immediately after sprinting, he doesn't need to stop and adjust the ball to his right foot, as Cancelo often did at City. Next, another vital upgrade that Pep made without wasting too much time was in the creative midfield position. Currently, City relies on players such as İlkay Gundogan, whose departure this summer would come as no surprise, and Mateo Kovacic, who cannot guarantee 20 goal contributions per season. Meanwhile, Kevin De Bruyne, who plays slightly further forward, has already said goodbye to the Man City faithful. And with this, the citizens will be hoping that Reijnders will be their long-term replacement. At the time of recording, sources confirmed that the deal with AC Milan has been agreed at €55 million plus variables on a 5-year contract, and that his medical had already been completed. Some outlets suggest the total package, including bonuses, could be worth up to €75 million. So, what exactly does Reijnders bring to the table? In the purest sense, he's a box-to-box engine, to say the least. He's capable of covering a lot of ground, and he's very versatile, able to deliver wherever he's placed. Of course, bearing in mind that Rodri is the undisputed defensive midfielder, Reijnders has 2 more midfield spots to choose from. Depending on the formation, we may see him play in the centre of midfield, right in front of Rodri. This is his preferred position because he likes to receive the ball deep, around the halfway line, and carry it forward. Another option for him is a more offensive role, similar to Kevin De Bruyne in his prime. However, alongside players like Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden, Reijnders will most likely play in a more conservative, central midfield role, where he can excel with his box-to-box excellence. Of course, when it comes to the midfield of any Pep Guardiola team, you can be sure that this is his speciality. As a former midfielder himself, Pep has always maintained a midline that plays close to perfection. Even though he has had success without a player of Reijnders' profile, after the disappointing 24-25 season, Guardiola realized that he needed a versatile player like Reijnders, someone who can break lines, create overloads, and score goals. Reijnders' aerial ability, stamina, and tactical IQ don't just make him a like-for-like midfielder, they make him an upgrade to the modern game. And to finish it all about Reijnders, let me tell you a secret. Do you know what number he wore at AC Milan and in the Netherlands national team? Yeah, you guessed it, number 14. Much like another Dutchman, Johan Cruyff, who also wore the number 14 shirt. Could Reijnders be the man to bring excellence to Man City's midfield? Now, the crucial thing for Reijnders and the next name on Man City's transfer list is that they have both practically signed and will play for the Citizens. However, their presence at the Club World Cup is still uncertain. The Man City board is racing against time to register them both, which you will probably already know by the time this video is uploaded. As for Cherki, I don't know about you, but I think City didn't want to waste more time after watching his performances in the Nations League with France. In the game against Spain, for example, he came on when the score was 4-1 to Spain, and just 27 minutes later, it was 5-4. France needed just a couple more minutes to complete a remarkable comeback in which Cherki would have had a monumental impact. He scored a fantastic volley to make it 5-2, and then delivered a perfect cross for Randal Kolo Muani to make it 5-4. In the game against Germany, Cherki started right from the beginning, and although he didn't score or provide an assist, he was still one of the best players on the pitch. So, what's his importance to this Man City team? Well, the Citizens have flair, that's for sure. Jeremy Doku, Savinho, Foden, and Marmoush are all players who can make a difference. However, when you have the opportunity to spend no more than 40 million euros on one of the best young dribblers in European football, it would be a mistake not to bring him in. Shining for Olympique Lyon, Cherki lit up Liga 1 last season with 8 goals and 11 assists in 30 appearances. Those are respectable numbers, but add his Europa League contributions, 4 goals and 8 assists, and you have a player with top-tier end product. The best part is that he's more versatile than Doku and Savinho, who are strictly wide players, and Marmoush, who feels his best as a second striker. Cherki, however, can occupy each of these positions. He can play as a winger on the left, on the right, and in the middle, right behind Erling Haaland in the number 10 position. Moreover, which are the names that immediately come to mind when talking about two-footed players? Ousmane Dembele is the obvious first name, and maybe Heung-min Son. Now, hear me out. Cherki is set to make his mark as one of the best in terms of dual-footed comfort. When it comes to his technical profile, he also boasts a high dribble success rate and is effective in progressive ball carries. Add to that his frequency of key passes, around 3.13 per match, and you have a player who creates chances with vision and finesse. All in all, Man City have done a brilliant business this summer, and along with Liverpool and Real Madrid, who have also completed some star names, are the most active team on the market right now. However, when it comes to squad depth, no one can beat the Citizens. Yes, they will obviously have to sell at least 4 or 5 of their current players, but even then, City will be well placed to get back on the winning end in 2025-26. So, what do you think, Citizens? Which transfer are you most hyped about? Share your thoughts in the comment section, suggesting what more should Guardiola bring in this summer. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, or just check out our previous upload on why La Liga must fear the new Real Madrid under Xabi Alonso. You'll love it, believe me. Catch you there.